Hi there, I'm Dark Shades. Welcome to my channel. First time you're passing through, I just talk about everything. I'm a bit of one of these lost blowing in the wind type of people. I'm not a consistent vlogger, but I do vlog if I feel as though I've got something to say. So it is best if you subscribe if you do want to know, if you do want to be informed when I share something with you. Now, today I wanted to talk about strangers making babies. I don't know how many of you saw it last night. I thought it wasn't really what I expected. Although I knew that they would have to have some kind of safeguards in place, the checks and thorough testing and medical checks. I did think about that. I also thought about, them having to have sex without no protection. And I thought, so what do? They go off and take them to a clinic to make sure that they're clean. And then I thought, well, are they just going to meet somebody at the first time and have sex with them and then hope they're going to have a baby? Then, what was his name? I'll tell you his name in a minute. Nigel. He says he's got slow swimmers. So does that mean she has to keep having sex with him? You know, and every month hope that she's going to have a baby if she chooses him. And then supposing he can't get her pregnant, are you kind of tied to him? And how many times are you supposed to have sex? Is it a case of you have sex once and hope for the best? I mean, it's really a bizarre kind of notion, isn't it? I mean, I never realized that the men would want to be so much involved. I thought they would just want to be like baby donors, a bit like IVF. And then I thought, why don't they go for IVF, these women? Why don't they just have a sperm donor and then just have a baby that way? Why do they have to have a physical person? Then once I was started to watch it, I realized that it's not about strangers having babies. It's about two people who want babies, what they call co-parenting, and they want to have somebody in their life to raise a happy and healthy child, but they don't want the relationship, or they don't want to feel as though they need to be in a relationship to have the child. But they have a responsibility to each other to raise the child well. So then, once I got that understanding that that's how it's meant to be, judging from the little interviews that they have, it's more than that. Deep down, they do want to be attracted to the sperm donor. I'm going to call them a sperm donor. It's co-parenting. We had a gay guy there. I saw a gay guy, and then he's talking about he's always wanted a child. And then we had Vic, who has the slow swimmer. So it looks like you'd have to be having it off every 5 minutes in order to guarantee that you're going to have a baby. And then we had Jean Paul. Now, Jean Paul, he came from Croydon. Not bad looking, not really my type, but he looked good for her. He was 50, but he looked a lot younger than 50. He's been married before. He has 2 kids, but he's single now. And to me, if although I'm not that great a good judge of character, but if it was me, I would go for John Paul to father my child, because I just felt as though there was a good vibe going on. I think she was physically attracted to him, and I think it is important. So she's a black girl, and she was introduced to one white guy, one Asian Scottish, and I think this guy was mixed race or black. He could be black. So she has the choice of three. She seemed to get on with the white guy as far as rapport. I'm not quite sure if she was physically attracted to him. I don't know. She didn't give any signs. I think there's going to be a second date when we watch it next. But it was quite interesting. The notion, it's a bit like Married at First Sight, but without the baby. I mean, I guess technically, if they're not wearing condoms, they could get pregnant in Married at First Sight. But it's the same premise that you meet somebody, you don't know them, but you decide to marry them. And after you've made that commitment to marry them, you make the commitment to make it work, regardless of what goes wrong. Some of them can last out, some of them don't. So I think this is a very similar situation. The only sad thing is that there's a child involved. So if it doesn't work out down the line and you have a little baby on your hands, either you're going to raise, either it's going to be a one parent family, which isn't, ideal for a young, for a baby, although it has been seen to work, or you're going to get something that works out. So it was interesting. I just want to make sure that I remembered the key things. With regard to Jean Paul, I think she was 36. So a lot of these women who go on this show, their biological clock is ticking. And I do understand why they do it, because if your biological clock is ticking, and like her, she works as a nanny and she works, I think, 13 hours a day. And so she doesn't have time to go out and meet people. And even if you did meet someone, as if you're going to say, oh, I want to have a baby, they're going to run a mile. So I do understand why women would go to this kind of format to have a baby, because in this way the person knows you want a baby, there's no issues, they want one too, you just go at it, and there's nothing more to it. You don't necessarily have to like the person or be attracted to them. You just need to know that from what you understand from them or what you've learned from them, they could be a good father or a good parent on both sides. Now with Vic, the Scottish Asian, she started talking, or they made it look as though she was talking a lot, and his face was like, oh, I don't like this. And I guess some people think, well, is my baby going to have those genes? On one side, I think to myself, what difference does it make if she talks a lot? You're just going to have sex with her and you hope you're going to have a baby at the end of it. Or do people kind of look at an individual and say, well, is that person going to inherit those genes? And therefore, I don't really want somebody who's going to talk a lot. I don't want somebody who's going to be controlling. I want somebody who is nice and caring. And therefore, when that baby comes out, I'm going to have something nice. I'm going to have a child that's nice and caring, if you base it on the genes. So, the fathers in this, in last night's series, seemed to be like they really wanted to be involved. And I'm not quite sure if it's not clear what the women are expecting. Do they just want a donor for their child? Do they just want to have sex with somebody and have a child? Or do they want that donor, that sperm donor, I'm going to call it, even though it's not in a bottle? Do they want him to have an active role? Because some of those fathers were talking about, oh, I want to take him away for weekends, and I want to do this with him, and I want to do that with him. So, I mean, I think they would really need to sit down more and think, what role do you want both parents to play? Do you just want the man to give you a baby? Or do you want the man to be involved in the child, and to what extent? That would be my question. Um, yeah, I think I have covered it. Technically, yeah, it's mostly, I would have thought, older women who are reaching that approaching 40 age, and they're a bit worried they've not met anyone. They don't think they're likely to meet somebody. If they do, they don't feel as though they can talk to them about children. And it's funny because even in the last Married at First Sight series, one of the women, that's all she went on about. She was 38. Oh, I've got to have children. I've got to have children. The man was like, hang on a minute. I want us to enjoy the relationship first. So I get it. Most men don't want to go into a relationship with a beautiful woman and then want to be bogged down with kids. That's not really what they want. So when you get somebody who's volunteering to take on that role, I guess it's okay. So I think, yeah, I guess IVF is out of the question, because it does look like they, even though they're looking for a father for their child, no, a baby, they are actually looking for a father for their child, and they are ultimately hoping it will turn into a relationship. So when they meet that person, that's what they're hoping. That's why I think the guy who's gay and has a partner, I think he's literally just wants to do it just to have a child. And something tells me that the girl, I can't remember her name, doesn't want that. She actually wants a child that she could potentially, she actually wants a child from a person she could potentially have a relationship with. That is just my feeling. Because she did say she was open to having a relationship. So it is quite a deliberate and calculating exercise. And I guess as long as they're committed to raising a healthy and happy child, which is the key, it's not just about raising a baby. A baby isn't a dolly. It takes a lot of commitment and time, but she looks after children anyway as a living, so she should have a pretty good idea. And she said, the reason, she wants a child so badly is because when she works as a nanny and she has to give the child back and she's got attached to it, so she wants her own. And that's all for now. This isn't going to be a follow-on thing, I don't think, but I did want to talk about it. Bye bye.